Hi, welcome to episode 7 of the Gentle Knitter podcast. My name is Nicole and I'm coming to you from Ottawa, Ontario. Today is Sunday, August 28th, and it's really hard to believe that we're already at the end of August. It feels like the month just flew by. The last time I recorded was August 3rd, and I did not mean to be away for so long, but I guess it was just pretty busy month. I had a lot of work, and I was also working on a sample, and then of course we were getting into a routine with Marcel, with our lovely dog, who's just doing wonderfully. He's a real sweetheart, and we're just having so much fun with him and starting to see more of his personality coming out. When he first got here, he was quite quiet and he was subdued, which is normal for greyhounds. They're generally, that's their normal personality, but even he was really, really quiet. Like we hardly heard a peep out of him for the first couple of weeks. Oh, did you hear that? I think there's a storm brewing outside. Hopefully I can keep going here without too many interruptions, but anyway, he was just very very shy and not very expressive, but now he's coming out of his shell, and he's still very quiet, but he doesn't bark very much, but he's just a little more playful, so it is a lot of fun. And he does this really cute thing, which is common in greyhounds, and they call it chittering. And what it is they start vibrating their lower jaw, and it actually looks like he's chattering his teeth as if he was really cold. So it's like, like really, really quick vibration. And at first I was like, what's wrong with him? But I found out that that is actually a very common thing that greyhounds do, and it actually is a little bit like purring with cats. Like it's something they do when they're really happy, but more so if they're kind of excited. So, right before we take him out for a walk or whatever, often he'll do that because he knows that we're going out and he's super excited. So anyway, it's been a wonderful adventure. I love having a dog, and I love seeing how he's getting more and more attached to us, and it's just lovely to come home at the end of the workday and just have this lovely, loving being that is just so excited to see you, and always up for a cuddle, and yeah, it's been a lot of fun. If I can, I'll try and film him a little bit so that you can get a good view of him. He's super, super cute, but he is sleeping right now, as he is most of the time. Yeah, so anyway, it's been very hot and muggy again today. It's hard to believe we're at the end of August because it really feels like July. And I am very, very ready for some nice, cool fall weather, because this summer has been quite brutal. I don't know if we've ever had such a warm and humid summer. And I'm just tired of walking around in a sweaty, disgusting funk. I just want to wear sweaters and shawls and play in the leaves. That's all I want to do. So hopefully we'll get that soon. Anyway, I do have a lot to talk about, so why don't we just jump right in. First off, let me tell you about a fiber festival I went to last weekend. The festival is called Twist, and it is in it's a small town called Saint-André-Avelin. It is in an area not far from here. It's about an hour drive. The area is called La Petite Nation, the Little Nation, and it's a beautiful part of Quebec. They've been having that festival for, I would say, probably 4 or 5 years now. And every year it just gets bigger and more popular. This year there were actual lineups to get in, which was the first time I've seen that. But it's a wonderful festival, lots of local producers, also lots of different fiber artists come, and potters, and yeah, there's all kinds of stuff there. It's really a lot of fun. They have workshops and they have presentations and free demonstrations, that kind of thing. So I went with a couple of friends of mine, and we had a wonderful day. It was really lovely, and I ended up buying a few really beautiful things. So I thought you might like to see what I got. So the first purchase I made was actually this yarn store in Montreal called La Maison Tricotée. It's apparently a gorgeous store. I've actually never been in there, even though we do go to Montreal quite often. I've never had a chance to visit their store. But they have a stall at the Twist Festival every year, and they always have the most beautiful yarns. So I knew that that was probably one of the stops I wanted to make. And they always carry Walk yarns, which I believe is a producer from Germany. And this person dyes the most beautiful yarns, like really, really subtle variegated yarn and hand-dyed yarn, and a lot of very neutral colors, and just really pretty and very high quality fibers. Also with the price tag to go with it, but for the last couple of years when I've been at Twist, I've looked at them and I've always wanted to buy some, but I never have. So this year I knew sort of that was on my list of things I wanted to get. So I ended up buying 3 skeins of their yarn. Here's the label so you can see. So it's Walk Collection, and I bought some yarn called Linea Fingering. It's 50% alpaca, 25% linen, and 25% silk. And I bought 2 different skeins. I wanted to buy enough to make a shawl, and the colors I really liked. There wasn't any that had 2 skeins. So I ended up buying 2 slightly different skeins, but I think they go really well together. And what I'll do is I'll either knit a striped shawl, or because there's not a ton of contrast between the 2, I might just kind of start with one color and then just like gently start transitioning into the other color, and it'll probably just have a slightly ombre effect. But yeah, I just thought they were so beautiful. So this one is a paler gray, and as you can see, there's a few kind of yellowy blotches. This is coming out a lot more, a lot brighter than it actually is in person. This yellow is more subdued in real life. And then there's this skein, which is a slightly darker gray with more blue in it, and then again some of those kind of goldeny splotches. So I just thought this was really, really pretty, and I like the fact that it's a blend that has a bit of linen in it, because I find that it just creates this really beautiful kind of rustic-y halo, and then the silk makes the dye. I find that things that have silk, the dye really takes beautifully, and it has a sheen that really just is absolutely gorgeous. So I'm not sure what I'll knit with this, but I've got, let's see how many meters. It's 400 meters per skein, so 800 meters should be plenty to make a really nice, beautiful wrapping type of shawl. So that's the first thing I bought. And then I also bought some sock yarn from them. So it's Walk Collection Tough Sock. So there's the label. And the color name is Cosmic. and it is a really beautiful mix of blue and gray, again with some of that yellow and pink and brown. Now I'm not usually a big fan of variegated yarn, but this stuff, I've seen it knit up, and it's really very, the way the colors, sorry, it's a really crazy thunderstorm that's brewing outside. The way the colors are dyed, it has a very watercolory effect that, like, you're not going to get pooling with this. And a lot of the colors in them are speckled. Again, it's showing up a lot brighter on the screen. It's quite subdued and quite muted. And how many yards or meters? I've got how many meters? Find it. Oh, 425 meters. So it's quite a generous sock yarn skein. I don't know if I'll make socks. I might make a cowl, or I don't know. I don't know yet. Maybe socks, because I do enjoy socks, even though generally I don't. I'm always a little hesitant to knit socks with such beautifully luxurious yarn, but I don't know, I think that it would make really pretty socks, so we'll see. Anyway, so that's my other skein, and then I bought a beautiful, you know how much I love pottery. I ended up buying this gorgeous yarn bowl, and it was done by a local potter. Her name is Laura Shepherd, and she makes beautiful things. I've bought quite a lot of her buttons, and I believe she has an Etsy shop, so I will link to that. I've got a lot of her buttons. But anyway, I just loved how delicate it's, so it's a creamy beige, and then these lines are sort of a grayish blue, and I just thought it was really beautiful. So right now I'm actually keeping my my Ennis shawl in here, and I will show that to you when I talk about my works in progress. But yeah, I've been really enjoying working with it. It's the first time I've worked with a yarn bowl, and yeah, it's quite lovely. So I'm very happy with that. It's getting very dark in here. I'm not sure how that's affecting it. It looks good on screen for me right now, but hopefully when I upload the video it will look okay. I also, if you notice a slight difference in the sound, I usually use an external mic, and my husband is actually in Montreal right now, and he brought it with him because he's a musician, and he was playing in a show, so I think he was hoping to record that, and he brought the mic with him, so I'm just using the laptop mic, so it's probably not as good as usual, but hopefully you're not having too many problems hearing me and the storm. Okay, so next I bought some spinning fiber, and it's Sweet Georgia, which she is a dyer on the West Coast. I believe she's I'm very distracted because now it's starting to rain, and I think I'm gonna go and close the windows because it's coming down really badly. So I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Oh my goodness, it is coming down in sheets, and actually a bunch of my floors are soaked now, or well, I've cleaned it up a bit, but it was just coming in. It was like somebody had turned on the shower indoors. It's crazy, but hopefully it will cool things down a little bit. Anyway, yeah, so I was talking about some fiber that I bought from Sweet Georgia. So she is a dyer based in BC, I believe. I think Vancouver or Victoria, can't remember. But I bought this beautiful BFL braid. It is showing up brighter. This is a more muted blue that is kind of tealish. Let's see if, no, that is coming out quite bright. It's muting up a little bit there, but anyway, it's really, really pretty, and it is super soft. So I got that one, and I also got one that has grays, kind of a brownish gray, a blue, and a teal, and so it's quite pretty. Also BFL, and yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I will spin them. Well, I will spin them individually, but I might end up plying them together. I'm not quite sure yet. We'll see. But yeah, it's very pretty, and I really like spinning BFLs, so there's that. And then the last thing I bought was some yarn to make a shawl that I've talked about. So I got this little project bag, which is very cute. And the yarn I got is some Jamieson and Smith, and it is their Shetland Supreme 2-ply lace. So it's very, very fine yarn, extremely fine. There, you can see it. And it's in a beautiful, it's gray. It actually is showing up a bit bluer. It's more of a brownish gray. The shade is just called gray. And I bought 4 skeins, enough to make the Hulan Shawl, which I talked about. It is from Kate Davies' Hap book that I reviewed a couple of episodes ago. And it is the shawl that kind of is the most traditional looking shawl in the book. It's a very gorgeous shawl, and this is the exact yarn that was used for the sample. So I'm super excited about that. I'm looking forward to knitting that. It's going to be a bit of an epic knit, only because the yarn is so fine, and I find that very, very fine lace weight is fairly slow to work with, but I do enjoy it, and the results, I'm sure, will be worth the extra work. Let me see if I can pull that up. I was looking for my book and I can't find it, so it's somewhere in my house. But let me look up the shawl and I can show you a picture on my iPad. Okay, so the shawl I'm going to make with that beautiful yarn, the Shetland yarn, is the Hulan Shawl, and it is a lace shawl that has kind of a tree design. Let me see if I can get a picture up where you can see that patterning. Yeah, that shows you the tree design. Yeah, it's just really pretty. So hopefully sometime this fall I will cast that on. It will probably be a bit epic, only because I find that very fine yarn is quite slow going, but I'm sure it'll be worth it. So what's on my needles? Well, the first thing I've mentioned is my NA scarf, which is not a scarf, but a shawl. It's a triangular shawl that she's wearing it sort of off on her shoulder there, but it is a very traditionally shaped triangular shawl. And I am knitting it out of a Backyard Fiberworks Company American wool. It's a single farm CVM in the natural color, and it is really pretty, kind of oatmeal-y. It's I guess a fingering weight, and it's fairly soft for a rustic yarn. It's very squishy and really beautiful. I'm really enjoying working with it. I bought it last year at Rhinebeck. And so last time I showed it to you, I believe I might have just finished the border, if I remember correctly. So here's the border. It's kind of a diamond pattern, and then the main body pattern is this kind of pretty, just kind of these little circular bits with lace around it, and a very easy, intuitive pattern. I'm now at the point where I don't really need to look at the pattern anymore, so it's going quite a bit faster. I'm knitting it on 4.5mm needles. I'm using Addi Turbos, and so far I'm really enjoying it. I love the way it's looking, and I think it will be a very nice cozy shawl for the fall, and I can't wait for it to be cool enough to wear something like this. So who knows, maybe next time I talk to you I will be done. But in the meantime, it's going to sit in my very pretty new yarn bowl. The next thing I'm working on is, well, there's a little backstory. So last time I talked about my Hap shawl, which is right behind me here, and I was explaining that even though I absolutely adored the finished product, I was sad that it wasn't as big as I had anticipated, and that it wasn't really, the size of it didn't allow for me to wear it comfortably. And I was mentioning how I wasn't sure what I was going to do about that, if I was going to rip out the border and then knit a bit more of this side patterning to make it bigger, and then re-knit the entire border, which is not something I was really relishing doing, because it would really be a big job to rip all of that out and start over. And so I was wondering, should I do that, or should I just give it away, or just use it as a lap blanket? And so a lot of you kind of commented on that and weighed in, and overwhelmingly people were kind of the mind that maybe I should just use it as a lap blanket and enjoy it. And so that's what I decided to do. And I'm so happy that that's what I'm going to do, because I actually am getting so much enjoyment out of just seeing it draped over the couch. And there have been a few mornings, not enough for my taste, but a few mornings that have been cool enough when I get up. I get up early because of Marcel. Around 6:20 he wakes me up, and sorry, I was just a little distracted because my computer, something popped up there. But anyway, I have been using it as a lap blanket, and it's really lovely, and I'm just so happy that I get to see it more often, and it makes me happy to know that it will be used and useful, and that I don't need to rip it out, which I really didn't want to do. But that does leave me hapless in terms of a hat that I can wear. And I do have a half hap, and I love it, but I really wanted a full hap that I could fold over and really wrap myself in, because I am always cold. My husband calls me Nicold, and I just thought to have a double thickness shawl would be so heavenly. So I went stash diving, and I found this monster. It's a cone. I don't even know how many meters there are on this thing, but I know that there's more than enough yarn here to make it hap. This is actually a cone of Briggs & Little, and I've talked about them before. They're a Canadian yarn company, and this isn't commercially available. It's actually a single ply, and it's fingering weight, but you can't buy this like this. They don't. The thinnest yarn that is available from them is actually a sport weight, and so I think this may be one ply that they use. Maybe this is what they use to make either their sport weight, or maybe they apply this like 3 strands of this to make the worsted weight. But I bought this at a kind of a warehouse sale at a local yarn shop, and it is the lady at the shop told me that they actually sell this to rug making companies, but it's the exact same yarn as the stuff that they sell for hand knitting. So it's not, it's like the regular Briggs and Little. It's not super scratchy. Like when I think of carpet wool, I think of the really, really itchy wool that can't be used for garments, and so therefore is sold for rug making. But this is fine. Like it's not super soft, but it's not prickly. Like I can wear it against my skin. And it was dirt cheap. I think I paid $15 for this entire cone. And I am making myself a hat. I'm gonna be making, it'll be all gray. And so far, I absolutely love the fabric. It's just a beautiful, tweedy, heathery, rusticy garter square. So it's this center square that I'm making right now. And even though I'm following the same pattern, the yarn is a bit thicker than the yarn that was used for that. And I'm also using bigger needles. So I think the pattern calls for 4.5 millimeter, and I'm using 5. And the needles I'm using are Haya needles. And it's the first time I use them, the Haya Sharps. And they are really sharp, like quite pointy, but I absolutely love them. And in fact, I wish I had a pair 4.5 so that I could work my NA shawl with them, because let me show you the difference. So these are my Addy Turbos that I'm using for NA shawl, and I don't know if you can see. Maybe a bit difficult for you to see, but these ones are much sharper than these. Can you see the difference? Maybe if I put them against my hair. No, you can't really tell, but anyway, if you felt them, these are much sharper. So when I get into the lace patterning, I think they're going to be really great. They're going to work really well. So I'm really excited, and it's moving along so fast. Of course, being a garter square, it's it's a no-brainer, and it's been really enjoyable to work on this while I watch TV or that kind of thing. So yeah, so I'm super excited, and I'm looking forward to showing you my brand new hat. I'm also working on a couple of pair of socks. The striped ones that are done with the Tresco Sandnes Garn yarn that I've shown you several episodes. And I also am knitting another pair of socks that I'm just using sock yarn, one color, and they're vanilla socks. I don't have them with me anyway. They're not very exciting to look at, but but I always want a pair of plain socks on the go, just because it's my, it's the knitting project that I just carry around with me, and I find that I always want one of those projects to be, small and easy to bring with me wherever I go. Well, I think that's going to be it for me this week. I was hoping to get to some of your questions, but it's almost 20 to 5, and there's a certain someone who is now awake and sort of looking at me going, are we going to go out soon? And seeing as the rain has finally stopped, I'm going to take that opportunity and get him out before it starts up again. So thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you for all the beautiful comments and feedback that you've been giving me. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. I know I'm behind on answering, but please know that I've read every single one, and they really mean a lot to me. I've really loved making this podcast. It's just been so much fun, and hearing from you is just the icing on the cake. So thank you. And yeah, we'll see each other again in a week or so. All right? Well, be well and happy knitting. Bye.